This is our community. We take pride in it. But what truly makes it a community are its people, our fellow students, faculty, staff, each of us with a responsibility to our school and ultimately to each other.
Here, community values are at the heart of a school-wide aspiration to make us a model of the higher standards essential to responsible leadership in the modern business world.
Community members have a personal responsibility to integrate these values into every aspect of their experience here. Through our personal commitment to these values, we can create an environment in which all can achieve their full potential.
And in that spirit, we strive to constantly improve the support, the resources, and security that exist on campus.
Because we know that as a community, what affects any one of us affects us all.
What are we as a community if we're teaching our guys or girls that, you know, it's okay to just go to college and, oh, there's a drunk girl, so let's see if I can hook up with her.
It's a conversation that I know I have with my friends quite a bit because it's just very prevalent in our lives. I don't think I know a woman my age at all, full stop, who hasn't encountered some sort of harassment.
I would want to confide in maybe some faculty or administrator that I actually trust.
As a community, we definitely do need to talk about it and support it. I want to be on a college campus that I feel like I can trust and actually openly talk about it with the students.
We need to be supportive of people that are victims of harassment and assault.
Within a community, close relationships are formed, and the lines of what is proper and improper are often being drawn and redrawn, crossed, and occasionally disrespected.
Though the intent of most questionable words or actions is not always malicious, the effect is felt by the victim and the community. Consequently, it weakens us all.
But what's right? What's wrong? When have you crossed the line?
According to our policy, unwelcome comments of a sexual nature may create a hostile environment.
Unwelcome comments, hostile environment. The school's policies on sexual and gender-based harassment do go the extra mile in trying to define these terms, but the concepts can still seem somewhat subjective.
Hostile environment for me is any environment where I don't personally feel comfortable.
It could even be a place that you're comfortable in, and then something happens or someone says something, and then it turns into a hostile environment. Like you could be in a classroom, and then some guy, or some girl, you know, it could be a girl too, I guess, says an inappropriate remark, and all of a sudden that nice classroom has now turned into a hostile environment. And I feel like that can absolutely happen often.
Now they're acting in a way that's making me feel uncomfortable. And it's one of those things where I just want to leave the situation. And sometimes it's in places where I can't do that.
For example, according to school policy, commenting about or inappropriately touching an individual's body could be a form of sexual harassment, which may create a hostile environment.
In addition, Title IX of the Education Amendments of 1972 prohibits discrimination on the basis of sex in the school's programs and activities.
And consistent with Title IX, the school as a whole works diligently to ensure that no member of the community is, on the basis of sex, sexual orientation, or gender identity, excluded from participation in, denied the benefits of, or subjected to discrimination in any school program or activity.
In other words, no one is subjected to what could be a hostile environment.
And because our community extends beyond the students and includes faculty and staff, so do the policies.
The school is particularly cognizant that these infractions can exist when students are looking for extra recognition, a job, or a recommendation.
In these situations, a person can be the victim of a quid pro quo sexual harassment, another example of what could create a hostile environment.
And with the prevalence of social media and instant communication, creating a hostile environment can be extended from physical, verbal, and written harassment into cyberspace.
Our policy states that gender-based harassment, including bullying and sex stereotyping, could interfere with a student's education, whether it's conducted in person or in electronic form.
There's so much opportunity with social media for people to contact you. I mean, you could be being harassed 24/7 between your phone and your computer. You're always accessible.
People feel like they can say whatever they want to say because they're hiding behind like a computer or a phone, and so it makes it so much easier for that to happen, for harassment definitely to happen.
While texting a sexually suggestive photo or posting something sexually degrading on social media might seem like an innocent hoax at the time, you are violating school policy.
And always keep in mind that it is not victimless. There is intent to hurt, and inflicting emotional or psychological pain on someone is not innocent.
There are certain TV shows that say these things and then it's repeated
when you're with friends and it's a joke, but then there are times when that becomes uncomfortable because it's not funny.
Sexual harassment is any unwarranted advance towards somebody of the opposite sex or the same sex for that matter.
There's this misconception that if you liked the person or if you were friends with the person, that it was okay.
You hear people say all the time that like, well, you know, if she didn't want it, she wouldn't have been wearing that tight dress and those high heels. And I think the only thing that can make you want something is desire.
According to the National Center for Educational Statistics, there were approximately 21 million students attending a 2- or 4-year degree program in 2013. And of that number, 12.5 million were females.
And according to a U.S. Department of Justice report, approximately 1 in 4 women will be the victim of an attempted or completed rape while in college.
Of that number, only 5% will be reported.
Laws prosecuting sexual predators or protecting students' civil rights for sexual assault are powerless if the instances are not reported.
There's a certain stigma that happens when you're that person or the person that tells them that person.
Standing up for someone, it is kind of scary thinking you're the only one, and what if they move on to you next and they may abuse you or something. So having that community behind you and knowing that you have that support there, I think that's really important.
The whole stigma of what if I say something has happened, like what are people going to say about me? They're going to think that I wanted this, that I was expecting this, that I intended for this to happen.
It needs to be known that it's never the victim's fault.
According to the Department of Justice, 9 out of 10 women who have been sexually assaulted knew their attacker. This seems to be indicative of a culture that has, until now, been tolerant of sexual assault. Our school has always been committed to providing education, encouraging reporting, and offering services and support to those affected by sexual harassment. The school provides interim measures and a complaint process, and assigns sanctions to individuals found to have violated the policy.
Like campus safety should be #1 concern. And
Complete access to help 24/7. You know, make it not something you have to search for, make it something that's in your face, to where you see it all the time, because, you know, sexual harassment happens all the time, so we need to be able to have answers and solutions, you know, and resources posted everywhere.
In March of 2013, as part of the reauthorization of the Violence Against Women Act, the President signed into law the Campus SAVE, or Sexual Violence Elimination Act. It is hoped that the passage of this law will help bolster the response to and prevention of sexual violence in higher education.
The new law adds dating violence, domestic violence, and stalking to the crimes that must be reported.
It's just so common and so accepted that sometimes it's just like, you know what are you gonna do? And other times it's like, well, what are we gonna do? People ask themselves, was I assaulted? Is that what that was? And then they're not sure, and then they wait a long time, and then they realize how much it's affected them, and then they're like, it was assault, but it's too late, and there's just so many complicated little things.
It's incredibly difficult to come forward after an incident of sexual assault.
But there is a really good reason to tell someone. You would be breaking this cycle of acceptance of sexual abuse, holding notice that you will not accept a culture that will turn a blind eye.
And by focusing not only on prevention and response, but also on awareness, the school policy is designed to meet legal requirements of the Violence Against Women Act, or Campus SAVE, Title IX, and other applicable laws.
If you experience harassment and would like assistance, Title IX coordinators can talk to you about the school's responsibility to respond and protect and to address any of your concerns.
The school's policy addresses confidentiality, clearly defining reporting and disciplinary procedures. It also prohibits retaliation and offers interim measures to those affected by harassment.
But being the victim of sexual abuse or harassment is traumatic, and despite these policies and strong campus support resources, a victim may still be hesitant to report.
And that's where the policy relies on the community. That sense of caring for one another and feeling empathy when a fellow member of the community is hurt. That willingness to tell someone.
It only takes one person to just step in, because then
jump up.
No, exactly. Like, you know, now you made it a situation, and they don't want it to be a situation.
Is if you see something, say something. You know, we really need to get behind, you know, backing up even people we don't even know.
And just remind the person that it's not their fault and that they have support and resources available on our campus and they can get help.
I think we need to constantly remind people to not sit in silence.
Title IX, the Campus Save Act, all enacted to provide you with safety and security as members of this community.
But they are only tools. We are only as strong as the bond we feel for one another, and the will each of us has to tell someone when we or someone we know has been wronged. And we should do so without feeling we are violating a friend's trust.
The resources are abundant. Professional staff trained to listen, to advise, to support, to provide security, and to discipline are on hand throughout the community.
And they are as invested in this community as you. So reach out to them when you know or feel the line of sexual abuse or discrimination has been crossed.
It is the responsibility of all of us, students, staff, and faculty, to make this a community where we can focus completely on our studies, our futures, and one another.
I think that it needs to be brought to the attention of everybody that this is real, this actually happens, and we need to be supportive of people that are victims of harassment and assault.
If we have these conversations early, we can really open our eyes up to having a more welcoming community. We can all be able to talk about it openly, and not just women, men as well.
We should do more in order for people to feel safe. I think that's probably one of the most important things that need to happen.
The more people that take action and make people accountable for assault and harassment, the less it's going to happen, because the more people are going to know that they can't get away with it.